know, if I started a club, would you come? And he was like, yeah, so we did it. So, and that's, I mean, there's a lot of different, even my cohort, you know, there's been a lot of communal spaces. The art department, they were huge when I first got here because I was taking art classes, and like I said, just people in Wyoming, people here have been really, I mean, the museum, that was who I should have thanked first. Nicole Crawford, thank you so much for allowing us to have this. Part of my insecurities and the things that I was battling with here, you know, in my performance was, you know, I never believed in myself, and even back home, like people didn't really believe in me either. So to have people, the supportive community here, to have people believe in you, to give you an opportunity, and so yeah, there's been so many. And then, of course, all of my professors, it's just been a good experience here. So, yeah, thank you.
I think we should just open it up to the
public. Okay.
We have time to ask our questions in a discussion after this. Just wanted to say this is the biggest conference I've ever had on the major in American Studies. Here, so it's a very unusual thesis, and the bar is very high for the four other Americans that are coming next week. But please feel free to attend those who are going to be over at for us next week.
You mentioned how you intend to maybe use Wyoming as a case study into how CRT could be used as more of a demonstration. I also completely agree that the Jake Foundation is a great example of that positive side of cowboy rhetoric. But I will never forget the time when I was driving to Powell, Wyoming, if anyone's familiar with it. They had a sign outside of town with a cowboy with a lasso saying, "Rope is hope." And with my own demons, I will remember just like seeing the negative side of that rhetoric. If you do use Wyoming as a case study, will you try to analyze it both from the positives and the negatives to try to bring this like to a full actualization?
Yeah, I actually did that in my paper. So there's an organization. So I presented research that critiqued the cowboy ethos, but then also I presented there's a book called Compton Cowboys, and so the Compton Cowboys was an organization started in Compton, California, in the hood actually, by black cowboys, and what they are doing is teaching the cowboy ethos of the values, the hard work, pull yourself up by your bootstraps ethos to help these inner city youth to overcome that adversity and to teach them, you know, the code of the West. And so I thought that was an interesting, that was something that even before moving here, I had that book. It was in my bookshelf. I already read it, and so I was interested in it because like I'm from the hood, so I was like, oh, they got Compton Cowboys. I thought it was cool, and so but really understanding that there is positive, like you can't just critique everything the way that like society does, whether you're, you know, of this belief or this belief. I think that life is just far too complex. Each individual has their own body chemistry, their own lived experiences, their own geographic, you know, where they were raised. So like you can't just blanket statement, you know, this person because he's white or because he's brown or because he's whatever. So I think that, yeah, I'm definitely going to explore that more, flesh it out more, hopefully find more studies about it, and talk about it more.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Who else?
I'm a Latino woman, minority. business owner in Learning, Wyoming. I've had some dark times. And it wouldn't be possible if God had not carried me. I have two questions for you in your research and in your artwork. One, as a child, did you go to church? Two, why did you not use God in any of your research and artwork?
Thank you for the question. So, growing up, I mean, that's really a long story. My family were drug addicts, but we are from New Mexico, so we're traditionally Catholic. And so, yeah, growing up, I would pray the rosaries with my nana, and like it was heavily part of our culture or whatever. But as I grew into adulthood, spirituality became something different for me. So one of the things that one of the reasons why the dancers were here were to bless this space. That was my way. And I'm not talking about Catholicism, or I'm not talking about religion per se. I'm talking about, for me, this was a spiritual act. I wanted to, I had to do this performance. So I had to draw upon this energy. And so that was something that I did, and I prayed backstage alone to the Creator. It's not like I didn't say Jesus Christ, or I didn't say this or that. But to me, I think even just making art is a spiritual act for me. And so, in a lot of ways, and I don't know if I talked about that in my paper or not. I don't think I went into spirituality. But I do consider myself a very spiritual person, and sometimes you'll see me use religious ideology in my work, but it's more about storytelling. I think the act of making the work is more spiritual to me than anything. Like, one of the things that I noticed I guess I didn't even talk about my life as a professional fighter when I used to do martial arts before coming back to school for art. But one of the things that I realized when I started doing art after I retired from fighting is that same feeling was, the only way that I can describe it is it felt like a spiritual connection. It felt like a connection with a higher power, the Creator. And so it was this I don't know how to explain it. So I've always considered art to be spiritual act. So thank you for the question. Anyone else? In the back, Tennessee.
So there's this theme of connection running throughout the evening, which I think made it harder to watch the performance and just watch and not intervene. So can you talk about that tension? Was the tape on the floor a signal for us to stay clear and let you handle it on your own? There was a real tension for me about wanting to step in and help you, because I feel like that's part of what we're called to do tonight.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure what type of reaction I was going to get. I have done martial arts performances in an art show, I guess, space, but I didn't know how the community, the people here were going to react to the violence, because it is something that you want to do when you see somebody in pain, is you want to help them or stop or intervene or whatever. And in a way, it's going to be part of the case study. It's going to be something for me to look back on and to think about, and because I was looking around at you and I saw the emotions and I saw the just the reactions, and I still got to, they're going to give me the feedback or whatever, and I still got to finish that paper, and talk about more about the show. So I think that that's going to be something I'm going to explore a little bit more and think about and describe in the paper. I'm more of a kind of a methodical thinker, so I have a hard time being really and thinking on my feet. But yeah, I'm not sure. Like I know in a lot of ways the way that I've had in the past, like where the pain and the almost like a blood sacrifice. It is a way to like open up these spaces for vulnerability and healing. And yeah, I don't know. I still got to reflect on that one. But it was a good question. Thank you.
No, I think that's powerful just because, like, as we're open and vulnerable, then it's like, hey, I really want to help you. Like, you know, we just have to be more transparent with what we're navigating on an individual level to really inspire, you know, change and make a difference.
And I had this conversation with my students because I was like, don't be afraid to hit me, like, because we practice this and stuff, and they weren't really hitting me in the face and stuff, and they weren't really hitting me hard. And I was like, well, this is gonna, and even backstage, like I was just like, let me explain the stakes here. Don't worry about hurting me. This is more, it's a performance. Like I understand you're not, it's not, you know, but yeah, it's. I think we needed that. I think that. It's that sitting with the unsettling, you know, similar to the book I was talking about. Like I think sometimes we need that in order to start the conversation. Because what's going to happen now? You're going to leave here. You're going to say, "Oh, I went to this art show and look, blah, blah," and you're going to start talking about mental health and suicide. So it's going to have a multiplication effect to it too. So anyone else? Yeah.
Is that an NF mask that you used?
It is.
Can I ask what the influence of using and having NF involved?
So this story, and I talked about it in my paper. So the Doom mask was actually, it wasn't my mask. It was my best friend Mikey, and he died by suicide. And after he died, I started wearing the mask, like walking into the cage to for my fights. But it was more about a symbol of transformation. It was a way for me to like keep him there with me, and it was a way for me. It was just my way of grieving. And when I started doing art, it just like depending on what I was thinking about, I always found it always found its way into my work somehow. And yeah, that's why I wanted it to be part of the performance, you know, part of the, you know, all of that. I think the metaphor, I think the metaphor is powerful. So yeah, it's not necessarily, I mean, my friend Mikey is the one that, he introduced me to him, well, not to MF Doom, but to the music of MF Doom. Yeah, it's not about MF Doom, like per se, but it's very meaningful to me. So thank you for the question. Anyone else?
So throughout your art, there's a lot of like weaving creatures, butterflies, a lot of hummingbirds. Could you speak to the significance of those?
Yeah. So hummingbird, like, is something that I always felt connected to ever since I was like a little kid. Like I always felt like I would get attacked by them, or they would just like chill by me, and everyone would comment on it. And then as I got older, and like I would see it, like hummingbirds that would even show up in my dreams. And so I looked it up. I was like, why are these hummingbirds? And so what I found was the Aztec god of war was sometimes depicted as a hummingbird. It was believed that when a warrior would die in battle, that their spirit would come back as a hummingbird, and they would wear these little hummingbird talismans to symbolize it. So thinking about my life, thinking about my experience, like there's been times, even since like a little kid, like I always wondered like how did I make it out of that? You know, and it almost felt like there was some type of higher power or my spirit guides. And so like in a lot of ways now when I'm thinking about my work, I'll end up, you know, I'll just be looking at it and I was like, you know, I'll see the hummingbird there, and so I end up including it in a lot of work. I don't always include it, but it's been in a lot of my work.
There's a question in the back. Right there with that.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I skipped you. I saw you earlier. Got distracted.
My name is Margaret Slater, and I am a Durham resident after 2 years. I was born here. And in addition to being a trauma survivor, I used to consider PTSD. I'm also a mother. I am also the daughter of my late parents, John and Ann Slater, who were career academics at UW. My mom was in here in '68. And were really involved in control rights efforts. My mother, for many years, has had anthropology. She founded the linguistics program here, co-founded religious studies, helped found American Indian Studies American Fellows, faculty advisor to the Black Student Alliance during Black 14, and yeah, she was running. She was great. And her career was focused on one river, actually, mainly language preservation, English, German, Lavato, and introducing language for my father and she came in 68 together in the English department. And while her career clearly advanced, his fell short in '87 because of suicide. And it was really I had just turned 14, which is a month after my 14th birthday. And it was really like, at least during my lifetime, as far as I knew, kind of the first big suicide on campus. And for one thing, I have to tell you, this has been so moving, and just to see everybody here and this event taking place is such a testament to you and to what you are doing to this community, not just on campus, but at large. Nothing like this has happened in my lifetime in the last 2 years. I have had the good fortune of seeing people, let me wrap this up for my own, the good fortune of seeing people suffer. I've had the good fortune of having access to resources, which I've been able to utilize through privilege and my will to stay well. Profession, again, through the trauma. But that trauma diagnosis actually didn't come as a result of my childhood, although it was challenging. I've worked with kids since I was a child and into my adulthood, and share this openly and publicly, knowing that it is on public record, and so if anyone is surprised by it, you can go read the files. But he was married to a cop, he's retired now, and he was involved in the investigation that caused that. I won't get into all the nitty-gritty, but it was an abusive relationship, it's not documented. It culminated in this court system. I got out of the marriage and subsequently went through a custodial modification case because he had primary custody initially. And during that custodial modification case, despite having been very healthy, raising my kids since birth, having had jobs that always required background check, working with kids from local communities, and I continued to open mental health camp. I lost custody of my kids to him based on a mental health diagnosis that was completely fabricated. I had never lived in my life and was used to freedom. After having been born, raised here, and have always not only been an advocate, being raised by advocate parents, and I lost my kids. And I live with that person today. I later found out, with evidence on record, this is my fifth case, that it was a quid pro quo. That our former county attorney, Patty Trent, who was a soccer mom on our soccer team, was about to announce her candidacy for county attorney. My ex-husband's attorney was her campaign manager. This was all about to be announced. And I lost my children to an artificial diagnosis in mental health because they wanted to win the case and have girls law enforcement. been in touch with the governor's office. I was immediately put in touch with Jen Davis, who is the executive senior policy advisor for the Community Association since vacated her seat. I've been in touch with Verasa. I actually got free to go. I can go. Liz Cheney has been involved. I've met with Chief of Staff of UW. I brought the attention to law school here. These are graduates of our law school program. And I bring this up to the heart because I think it is systemic, incredibly. And I don't ever want to disgrace the work of this community or stand in defiance, just cutting at the knees. But unfortunately, we do have a problem here, and it is systemic. And it's not reduced to one body of politics or not. These are Democrats. These are leaders in the state. They are not leaders. Sad attorney, defensive, perhaps husband, and he was also a magistrate, served as the one state board president. And during her time, the rules changed so that the limitations are even more defined, so that one can actually go after it. Well, I am reaching out to the state commission for ethics. I was in a public hearing. I tend to go to all meetings because I've been in touch with them more times. And so this is my announcement that we've got to keep talking about this. And we've got to get real. I think especially in this political climate, that this is Wyoming at the good old way of doing it. I think is very much alive and well. And I am hopeful because I've seen things like going on, but I think questions of accountability continue have to remain at the fore. And I'm not saying everyone's a bad apple in the state, but we have to hold our state representatives as much accountable as everyone else and make sure that they're doing the job and they're doing it judiciously.
No, I really appreciate you sharing your story. It's really unfortunate that you're having to go through this, but I do hope that you are getting any kind of mental health support as you can. So thank you. Anyone? Yeah.
So one of the things that I do with the Wyoming Cares Foundation, and we do suicide prevention training, and I also have a full-time job, so I feel like I don't always have a lot of time to make these human connections that I think are so vital, like you saying. And so my first thing to reach out is I ask people about the 988 number, and if they know they can call or text. This text is new. Do you have something that when you don't have the time to maybe make that connection or have these more profound conversations, is there something that you have more, I don't want to say instantaneous, but something that you can start with so that we can have these conversations start? A lot of us are ingrained in the isolationist culture of Wyoming that don't know how to get that deep into it. Is there any starting points that you found that just help?
Well, for me, I think that the connections that I've built over the years, I still have. So, I do have people reach out to me to check on me. That they haven't heard from me for a while. I'll just get a random text, and it's weird because I have PTSD from it because every time I get these texts from people that I haven't heard from a long time, it always used to feel like bad news. So as soon as I see the phone, I'm just like, but then it's them checking on me, and then usually it's it almost feels like it's intuitive, where they feel that energy. But I think I know that I advocate heavily for counseling or therapy. I go religiously, and if it wasn't because I know that about myself, I don't think I could have made it through those dark times that I've had here. Because there's been times where maybe I didn't even have an appointment set up, but I was having my own little crisis, and maybe it wasn't a big deal to everyone else, but to me, I was having a crisis, and I have to have an emergency meeting or whatever. But I think that those resources are important, and knowing that they're there for you to reach out, and maybe not here, but I have called one of those numbers before in my past, and they did help. So I do advocate for those things. But it is important to, at least even if you don't have the time or whatever, to try to make time for, whether it's even just a small get together, even if it's just like, hey, call for a friend and hey, let's see a movie, or maybe if you don't have money to go out, let's watch Netflix, or let's go for a walk, or something, But yeah, I think that it's important to set yourself up for success when it comes to those things, and sometimes it's like those are skills you have to learn, and those are skills that I've learned over time in therapy, or maybe working with other resources like yourself. Okay. So I'm gonna just end it there. I wish I could stay here and talk about this all day, but it's already almost 9. We have like 10 minutes left, and just in case you want to get any last pizza, I don't know if there's pizza left, or you want to take a peek. There's plenty. You can take a whole pizza if you want, if there's whatever left. But yeah, so thank you all. Thank you.